It all started innocently enough, as these disasters often do, with a cheerful email from Marla Pruitt, the newly self-appointed head of community engagement for our HOA. It announced a mandatory neighborhood movie night to foster spirit and unity. I skimmed the email over my morning coffee, barely awake, until I saw the location: Field Me front yard. Marla, with her fluorescent manicured nails and predatory PTA smile, had decided that my carefully maintained, privately owned front lawn was now public property for her grand social project. Without so much as a knock on my door or a polite inquiry, she printed glossy flyers, taped them all over the cul-de-sac, and even sent out a Google Calendar invite titled Marla's Spectacular Movie Night Bash. Barely had I absorbed the absurdity before I heard the unmistakable sound of wooden stakes being hammered into my flower beds. I ran outside, heart pounding, only to see Marla supervising a couple of neighborhood teens as they hoisted up a giant, glitter-splattered banner reading "Welcome to Movie Night," hosted by Marla Pruitt, in letters so large they could probably be seen from space. Trying to keep it neighborly, I confronted her. Marla beamed at me like I was a developmentally delayed toddler. "Oh, don't worry, sweetheart. You have the nicest lawn. It'll be great for the community." She waved a crumpled HOA handbook at me, citing some obscure clause about community engagement areas thought, as I would later discover, only applied to HOA parks, not private property. By sundown, my lawn was a circus. Wires snaked through my rose bushes. Folding chairs trampled my edging. Strangers tromped across my yard, leaving soda cans and napkins in their wake. Marla, wearing a rhinestone event director sash she clearly bought herself, fluttered around barking orders into a megaphone like a deranged cruise director. She even handed me a clipboard and informed that I would be serving as parking coordinator since "it's your property, sweet pea." When I refused, she announced on Facebook that I had generously volunteered. The final insult came when she fired up the massive speakers she'd installed so loud they rattled my windows, and announced that suggested donations collected at the lemonade stand would support future community events, which she pocketed in a glittery fanny pack. By the end of the night, my pristine lawn looked like a battlefield. That was when the cold, hard fury settled in. Marla thought she could hijack my property, turn it into her personal stage, and profit off it, and that I'd just roll over. She had no idea what she'd started. 2 days later, without warning, a laminated poster was duct-taped to my mailbox. Summer movie series. Every Friday. Dress-up themes. It featured my lawn as our beloved community space. She'd even made a Facebook page and tagged me as venue host. I stared at it, pulse pounding, as I read her lineup: Pajama Night, Grease Sing-Along. Family Fun Night, Shrek in green face paint. I confronted Marla again, trying to stay civil. She smiled wide enough to split her face. "Oh, it's tradition now, hon. You wouldn't want to ruin everyone's summer spirit." Tradition. After one hijack night, when I pointed out she hadn't gotten my permission, she practically sneered. "I'm the head of events. I can approve informal uses. It's in the spirit of community." She sent out another mass email warning neighbors about unsupportive residents who might undermine the spirit of unity. Neighbors started sending me passive-aggressive texts about learning to share and community before self-interest. Then came the solar lights. Without permission, Marla installed lighted walkways along my driveway for safety and chalked big arrows pointing guests to the theater. I found myself staring at my own property, now a garish Disneyland tribute, wondering if I'd fallen into some dystopian alternate reality. Marla wasn't just invading my yard. She was trying to break me psychologically. And then she announced she would be selling popcorn and lemonade to fund a stipend for her expanded role as HOA events director. In other words, Marla was profiting off my stolen lawn to pay herself a fake salary. I realized then, this wasn't about community. This was about Marla building her empire. But tyrants always overreach. They get sloppy. They leave weaknesses. I started collecting evidence. Flyers, Facebook posts, emails, pictures of the banners and the solar lights. All of it proved she'd been using my private property without consent, collecting money, and painting herself as an HOA official when she wasn't. That's when I had an idea. If she wanted to use my lawn for movie night, I would give the neighborhood a movie they would never forget. It didn't take long to find what I needed. Marla had been through a messy divorce 6 months prior and praised the gods of public records. The court hearings were all publicly available. I found hours of video footage. Marla sobbing about how her ex-husband's energy was toxic to her chakras. Marla screaming at the judge. Marla confessing she spent their joint savings on self-empowerment retreats that were actually wine-fueled pyramid schemes. I downloaded it all. I edited a highlight reel. 47 glorious minutes of Marla's worst moments, neatly labeled Karen Pruitt, a community journey. I printed special event flyers announcing a community tribute screening before the scheduled Frozen night. Marla, oblivious, even reposted the flyer, thinking it was for her. On the night of the event, I had the projector ready. Neighbors gathered early, chatting and eating popcorn. Marla hadn't arrived yet. She was picking up dry ice for her snow cone machine. As twilight settled, I welcomed everyone over the borrowed megaphone. Thank you for coming. Tonight, a special tribute. The screen lit up. The title card appeared. Karen Pruitt, a community journey. Confused murmurs. A few chuckles. And then Marla sobbing before a bored judge about emotional sabotage via Instagram likes. The silence was profound. Then the laughter started. Neighbors shifted uncomfortably as Marla's embarrassing court performances played out, her blaming her husband's new girlfriend for lowering her vibration levels, her admitting she'd spent $18,000 on manifestation retreats. Halfway through, Marla herself arrived, snow cone machine supplies in hand, wearing a frozen tiara. She stopped dead. She stared up at the massive inflatable screen showing her in full meltdown mode. For a moment, I thought she might faint. Then, true to form, Marla exploded. She dropped her supplies, charged at the projector, shrieking, "Turn it off. Turn it off." I stepped casually in front of the power cord, sipping my lemonade. "Public record, Marla," I said sweetly. "Perfectly legal." The neighbors chuckled. Someone whispered, "Karma's a movie." Marla screeched, "I'm calling the cops," and whipped out her phone. Police arrived and, after reviewing my meticulous folder of evidence, explained that public court footage is, indeed, public. They told Marla she could either leave peacefully or risk being cited for disturbing the peace. Humiliated, she fled into the night. The crowd, after a stunned silence, broke into scattered applause. Marla's reign was over. The HOA board called an emergency meeting days later. Marla was stripped of her titles, banned from organizing any events, and audited. The audit revealed she'd embezzled thousands from the community fund. She was slapped with a demand to repay $18,500 or face civil court, and possibly criminal charges. Over the following months, Marla became a ghost in the neighborhood. She tried to run protest rallies about HOA corruption, but nobody showed. Her desperate Facebook posts were met with mockery. Flyers she shoved into mailboxes were crumpled without a glance. Eventually, she lost her house to foreclosure. A for sale sign went up. A young couple moved in, planting fresh flowers where her movie night arrows used to be. The neighborhood thrived. We hosted real even potlucks, block parties without drama, without dictatorship. Sometimes when we gathered at the new community orchard we planted, someone would joke, "Should we show a movie?" and everyone would laugh. And somewhere, far away, you could almost hear a faint screech, "Turn that off." We never did.